Down here at Better Get to Living RV channel. Came to Savannah this morning. So we're down here on the riverfront. We just went to the candy store. Was looking at doing the Georgia boat cruise because we're only here today. We came in yesterday but got stuck in traffic on 95 for over 4 hours. So we're right here at the Georgia Trolley riverboat. Turn around and see the candy shop. So right here on Main Street, there's the candy shop. Right there. And then Denise is somewhere getting a magnet. This is what she does, collects magnets. Those places we go. But we're going to try to book. We were going to do a nighttime cruise, but we'll probably have to do that in April when we come back doing full time. Because I think we're going to stay here for at least a week. It's really cool. It's hard to imagine like 1733, but man, these streets, whew, they're hard to walk on. So I couldn't imagine like a horse and buggy on this thing in 1733. Man, it's cool places, people sitting up on the balconies. It's really neat. All right, we'll try to get back up tonight. Put some more on this video. Thanks.
Oh, well, you know.
Hey,
You got clouds in the sky.
there you go.
They said it was going to get a little bit cloudy this afternoon.
This is the trolley
There wasn't no
tour
rain.
for downtown Savannah. I think it goes to 16 stops, it said.
But yesterday it got 80 degrees.
Yes, I know.
80 degrees.
Look at this little place. Look at that.
Yeah, at the end of December.
I need my
can you believe
handheld
it?
thing, you
Now,
know.
I can remember December one time being, the wind chill was 21 on Christmas Day. All day long. I lost my lemon tree. So you don't never know about the weather, what it's going to do anymore. Yeah, I thought I had it covered up and I didn't. Probably. Now this is stop 13, and this is a good stop for that open river market right there, y'all. But if you leave them in this
cool,
stop,
right
watch your step right there, okay? Now if you're planning on coming back down to the river in your personal vehicle later on today or tonight or whatever, don't worry about these railroad tracks. There's no trains come down the river anymore. There hasn't been a train come down the river in about 75 years.
Wow.
Yeah, a long time. I don't know
So
why
no
they'll take
trains.
these tracks up. Maybe they will one day. They're talking about doing some reworking down here. They'll probably get us in, you know.
There's the girl.
Now over here on the left, this is the Waving Girl. The Waving Girl's real name was Florence Martin. She was 19 years old and she fell in love. Well, he had to go out to sea. So he told Florence to wave at every ship to come by where he'd know where to find her. She waved morning, noon, and night for 44 years. They said she died of a broken heart and tired arms. Then this is stop 14, and this is a good stop for them 3 hotels right there. Or if you want to take a picture by the Waving Girl. And her lifelong companion, y'all, was her dog. In the course of a lifetime, she had 2 of them. Both of them were collies, and both of them named Susie, but she never did come back. Down over here on the left, that's our Olympic Flame Monument. Some of y'all may remember when the state of Georgia hosted the Olympics in 1996. Well, most of the games went on up in Atlanta, Georgia, our capital.
Some big
But
boats
Atlanta,
down the
Georgia
side
does not
over
have
here.
an ocean. So we hosted the yacht and sailing for the Olympics on our river there. And that was the first time in Olympic history that 2 flags flew at the same time. One in Atlanta, one in Savannah. Yeah. Now all this riggedy underneath us, all these cobblestones. Now you only hear all about James Oglethorpe in the beginning. He's the man that come over here and started the new colony. Well, see, the main reason they even wanted to come over here was to use this hot weather to learn how to grow things. So when the ships would come over here, they'd be empty. So instead of going over the ocean all wobbly wobbly, they would take the cobblestones and the balance stones and put them on the ships to balance them.
Oh,
Then once they got here, they threw them out. We loaded them up whatever we had, and I guess they got
Made
tired of
roads.
slipping and sliding in the wagon, so they made roads out of it. Now I'm not gonna tell you that every one of them has come off the ships in the 17,
there's a
1800s.
park up here
But
in
I
the park.
can say it's probably about 50-50. Because they've had to
Some
replace
small
a few over
houses.
the years, but some of them they just never had a reason to move. Now, over on the right, this is our Vietnam War Veterans Memorial. And the monument itself is the shape of the country of Vietnam.
Oh wow, I didn't know. Oh.
And the next one is the Celtic Cross. Now that's to honor all the Irish. The population of Savannah is about 285,000. Give or take a few. And why I say give or take a few? Because we have a lot of military around us. The military families move in and out. But on average, 285,000. And I wouldn't be telling you no story to say at least 100,000 is Catholic and Irish. So come March the 17th every year, we have our big St. Patrick's Day celebration. We have the largest parade other than New York City. It's 5.5 hours long. There's no school or work that day. The whole city has to shut down. That's the only day the trolleys don't run. We run
on St.
Christmas
Patrick's
Day,
Day.
Thanksgiving Day, Easter Sunday, every
And you
day.
got to remember that
But St. Patrick's Day. Because there's too many people in the city, you know, we can't get in here. Last year we got 500,000
you have to remember they
people
died the
in
river
the
bend
city.
too.
Celebration lasted 4 straight days. And I'm proud to say that only 192 people went to jail. That's good, you know. Y'all gonna have to come back. And most of them was using the restroom where they shouldn't. So that's not a bad thing. It ain't a good thing, but it ain't a bad thing, you know. Hey, but we have a good time, and the city is really pretty. Because all the azaleas are blooming and the dogwood trees, and oh, it's really pretty. So if you don't like the crowd, come the week before and you'll still see all that, you know. But I love the parade. Now, as we cross over Brock Street, look to your right down Brock, you'll see a neon sign down there that says SCAD, S-C-A-D. Well, that is, what are they going down here? I thought stopping down here, yeah. Yeah, see, we got 2 stops here. Poor people, I'm confusing them and they confusing me. There we go. But this is stop 15. This is a good stop for Leopold's. That's right down Broad Street I'm showing you. And this is the Davenport House, which is a wonderful historical home. Thank y'all so much. Y'all have a good day, okay? Happy New Year to you. All right. If you need any directions, let me know. Hello there.
I don't know what the Davenport House is.
You're fine. Get your man. And this is stop 15. Hey! Have you rode with me before?
We sure have.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I hope I don't disappoint. You just ain't gonna be with me very long. But it's okay, we'll have fun while you're on here. Because we changed drivers now. I don't know if y'all know about that. You rode before with us. We used to train guests at stop 1. And we kept doing, we quit doing that. Now we changed drivers. But I'm gonna show y'all I got until we do. Now look over here on the right. Now look on your front steps of the Davenport House and count 3 steps up. 1, 2, 3. You see that upside down heart on your hand railing or stair railing? That's what they call a boot scrape. That's what they scrape off the shoes. This is the Keogh house. The Keogh's on the iron foundry. Everywhere you see white paint, brown paint, that's iron. Even that side porch is built out of iron. Mr. Keogh said if you can make it out of wood, he can make it out of iron. But Joe Namath bought that house in 1982. He paid $90,000 for it. 1982, $90,000. Kept it 4 years, never even moved in the house. He said Savannah was about the boringest place he's ever been. Wasn't enough going on for him. He sold it for $250,000. About 15 years ago, that house sold for $3.5 million.
Good investment.
We always say he should have been bored at town longer, you know. And he was on my trolley one time, y'all, and I said that. And when he got off, he introduced himself, and I went, whoops. He said, no, don't worry. He said, maybe I should have kept it. I said, yes, sir. That's all I could say. I didn't know what to say. All I could think about is how I'm going to get the shoe out of my mouth, you know. Now, over there on the right, y'all, the house with all the decorations, that was the first Davenport house. That goes back to 1799. This one here beside it, we think that was a doctor's house. It goes back to 1799 also. Now look across Green Square to your left. You see that little red house with the yellow trim over there? Now that's the smallest house in the historical district. It was built in 1845 by a shipbuilder. He never married. He never had any children. So a lot of people call it the bachelor house. And it's not even 800 square feet. It was a tiny house, but tiny houses become popular, you know. And I had a couple that was staying there. They rented out for vacation. And I had a couple staying there about this time last year.
Trees.
And they said, you want to know about that house? I said,
Beautiful
yeah.
houses.
They told me I had a little living room, little kitchen, little bathroom, had a beautiful courtyard in the back. And they could actually put a queen-size bed in the loft up there. I said, yeah, but can a 6-foot man stand up in there? And they said, well, in the eve of it. So I don't know how they, I mean, he can't walk around the bed is what I understand. I don't know. And I said, do you mind me asking what you pay a night for it? They said, no, $85 a night. Wow. I said, man, you can't pitch a 10 in Savannah for $85 a night. You know, but I've been saying I was going to stay there one time because I'd like to check it out. And you know, I had to ask them, was there any ghosts in there?
Look at that thing.
No, we didn't see no ghosts. I think you would. Now, over here on the right, this is our police
Look
barracks.
at this. Look at all the malls.
This is the third oldest police barracks still operating down the same location in America. And we were the first police department to ever hire a female police officer. In 1921, with the stipulation, she can only arrest women. Only arrest women, yeah. And if you do like the ghostly side of Savannah, being on this red light here, right over there on the right where Colonial Cemetery is, right there. Look on YouTube sometime. The little boy ghost at Colonial Cemetery in Savannah, Georgia. That is a little bit creepy. Now, y'all, I don't believe in all that BS. I've never seen a ghost, but that there, that's creepy. And a young boy from, I think it was Michigan, filmed it, and the cemetery was locked. And that little boy come running through there, and he's got it all on video, and nobody can explain it. And he's dressed just like he was in the 1800s. You can even hear him giggling, like laughing. And he run up there, and he jumped up on that tree, and he took off. Yep. And nobody can explain it. Because, see, they locked them cemeteries at 8 o'clock. And they ain't opening up for nobody. I mean, Hollywood offered Savannah $30,000 to film right back there. And they wouldn't take it. They said, no, if we started, everybody's going to do it. You know? Now, y'all, I didn't just run a red light. If you're in the middle, you can go. Yeah, I usually don't do it because I know I got 38 backseat drivers back here, you know. But I thought to go ahead. Just explain it to y'all. If you're back here, you can't do it like that. But if you're in the middle, you can. Now, you know I wouldn't run a red light right there at the police station. You know, now over there on the right, that's the old prison. They opened up the doors of that jailhouse in 1888. It stayed in jail for like 100 years. And now it's been empty for about 75 years. And we do know for a fact that the college, Savannah College of Art and Design, we call it SCAD, we know for a fact that they bought it. And what the rumor is, they're going to take them prison cells and turn them into individual art studios. But they'll get it. They're really good at restoring all the buildings and everything. They'll get it eventually. They've already done a lot to it, yeah. Now, this next square we're coming into, I'm going to go ahead and start talking about it because it takes me a minute on this story. When we come into Truth Square, I want you to look to your right, and you're going to see the Universal Church. Well, James Pierpont, his brother was a choir director in this church. He come down here, sat down at the piano, and he wrote the song, One Horse Open Slave. Well, folks in Massachusetts said he went to a location there, sat down and wrote the song, One Horse Open Slave. Well, it was published in Boston in 1859 as Jingle Bell. Now, we both have the historical marker. See the marker on your left that says Jingle Bell? And that's our Jingle Bell church. Now, nobody really cares where it's wrote off. Everybody likes the song Jingle Bell. Look at the stained glass, y'all. They got the lights on it. It's so pretty in there. It looks like a little Jingle Bell church. But we all know it's wrote up north. Because we don't have one of the horse open slaves in Savannah, you know. But he's buried here. He's buried in the same cemetery that the mother of the Girl Scouts is buried in. So we went and found his grave, and on the grave is a bunch of music notes and jingle bells. So I kind of got curious about this fella. So I looked him up, and there wasn't too much to him other than writing the song One Horse Open Slave. But his sister married a man by the name of John Morgan, and they ended up having a son that turned out to be J.P. Morgan. That was interesting. Now this is Lafayette Square, y'all, and up here to my front left, that's the Andrew Lowe house over there in the corner. That's where Juliet, the mother of the Girl Scouts, spent most of her adult life. And in the carriage house behind it is where the very first Girl Scout headquarters was in 1912. Now we're coming up on St. John's Cathedral. Now y'all, you can go in this church when they're not having mass. They do welcome guests to services, but you just can't take pictures. And that's exactly what's going on right now, all these cars. But it's free of charge and it's absolutely beautiful. And the three doors being Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And this is stop 16. Now, there is a lot of nice little restaurants around here. I believe it won't open up to the public until 12:30. It might even be 1 o'clock, but across the street over there, that little coffee shop, they're really good about letting our guests use the restroom also. But there's J. Christopher's to my left, 1 block down. It's called The Hitch. It's really good. It's got like patty melts, hot wings, stuff like that. It's got a nice bar too. And then you got Clary's behind us, so that's the Savannah thing. That's the hamburgers, french fries, milkshakes, stuff like that. Breakfast all day, you know. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. They welcome guests to services. Yeah, then hang around a little while and get you some pictures afterwards. Yeah, it's really pretty in there. Yeah, they know that. Yeah, we have a lot of Catholics in Savannah. A lot of Irish, a lot of Catholics. Okay, we're coming over here to stop number 1. Is everybody gonna keep on riding? Is anybody hopping off at 1? Okay, that's a lot of fun. It's kind of early. I'll show you what's over there. Now, they were giving free samples of liquor over there yesterday. But I don't know if they are today or not. We'll find out. See, we just opened our new distillery. It's going to be a restaurant too, and it's going to be a liquor tasting place and all this kind of stuff. But they ain't got it all through with, but they got the liquor store through. It's back to Cindy, stop 16. Everybody seems like they're not going to leave me. I'm in Trolley 341, and I'm going to cut it back. Now, y'all
Beautiful
was
city.
coming over to stop one. Now, stop one, you're going to get another driver come on board, and it'll take us about, I don't know, about 10 minutes to swap out. And there is some presidential porta-johns over there. Said if you think you could run and use the restroom real quick, you can. But if I was you, I'd just leave somebody in my seat, some of my family, to keep a seat for me. And just let the next driver, well, I'll even let them know that you go up to the restroom and they're going to, it's going to take us a few minutes to switch over. So don't wait on it. You ain't got to worry about that. Man, look at all the Catholics over there at the church today. But you know, the Irish actually got here in Savannah by accident. There was 150 of them on a ship in 1737, and they were headed to New England. Well, something happened. Everybody sees it probably was a hurricane, but they didn't know what that was back then. You know, they just write down some storms, you know, and everybody sees and thinks they were talking about hurricanes, you know. But anyway, it took it and blew them into Savannah. And by the time they got here, out of that 150 people, they were 34 men and 6 women.
Wow.
And see, Oglethorpe didn't believe in slaves. You know, there was no slaves while he was here. And, but they were indentured servants.
It's
But he
like
couldn't
rowing
turn them
machines,
away.
but
They'd
I'm not
been
sure.
through too much, you know. So he put them out on different farms and let them work out the passage. But they started writing home to their families. And by the mid-1800s, they were over 3,000 Irish here with their families. So you might as well say the Irish built Savannah. They did build that river down there, you know, they really did. And so we have a large population of them, you know, and that's why we had such a big celebration. Because really the St. Patrick's Day celebration is all about when they can and when they don't. Now look over here to your left. This is kind of corny, but it's kind of cool to me. Look at this live oak tree on your left, right here past this green light. Look at that palm tree going dead out in the middle of that live oak.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's huge. That's the biggest one I know of in this whole city. I mean, there's little ones like that that pop up in the live oaks, but nothing like that. That's huge. Yeah. And the Spanish moss, you know, it's really nothing to do with the Spanish family at all. It's really of the pineapple family, they say. I don't know why they say it's out of the pineapple family. Because pineapple grows up by the ground, you know. But it just don't. It just hangs there. And y'all, if you hear any of these ghost stories about, like, okay, in Johnson Square, there's no moss in the trees. Well, they said that why that is because General Nathaniel Greene's buried there, and he didn't like the checkers. And so he made all his help on his plantation burn all the moss out of his trees. And they said that why there ain't no moss hanging in Johnson Square is because he's buried there and he ain't gonna allow it. You know what it is? It's because the buildings are too high and won't let them blow it in. They won't let them blow it in, yeah, because it blows in, you know. Yeah, okay, but I didn't want to bust anybody's bubble. I shouldn't have told y'all that, okay? Well, y'all know better anyway. It's all fun. Them ghost stories are fun anyway, you know. We all know they ain't no ghosts. But they got a new ghost hunters right there. Okay, let me show you y'all. See that little silver trailer right there? That's your presidential porta-john. Okay, now it's going to take me and Robert right here to swap out. And so you got a few minutes to go to the restroom if you need to. Bottom of the map, y'all, okay? Now I can't promise you won't be put on hold, but I can't promise you will talk to somebody. What you gonna do is you gonna call a call center. That call center's gonna connect you and officer here in Savannah. And we got 3 lovely ladies just sitting back there waiting for you to call. They can help you, okay? Now we're leaving stop 1 now. If you go from 1 back to 1 without getting on and off, it's an hour and a half. And if you go from 1 to stop 12, which is River Street, Riverwalk, is 1 hour. Now most of the time everybody's tired of me trying to trolley by the river, but that's entirely up to y'all. Now some of the things that you definitely want to see, you definitely want to see the Catholic Church at stop 16. Now, it should open up at 1 o'clock today for, it's open now for Mass, but it opened up at 1 o'clock for everybody to go in there, and you can take pictures in there, these. But notice I closed stop number 4, and stop number 16 is to one another. See, you can hop off at 4, walk 1 little block up to the church, see the church, but if you haven't been on the way around, I go back to 4. Okay? I like stop 5. That's one of my favorite areas. That's Forsyth Park. That's where I love it fountain located here. We got real nice, clean public restrooms. Big playground for the children. And of course, you can take a better picture of the fountain up close than you can from the trolley. And then there's 2 stops at City Market, which is 2 and 10, and 3 on the river, which is 12, 13, and 14. Now, let me tell y'all just a little bit about Georgia history to get you going. Now, King George II, he picked James Oglethorpe, 21 trustees, to come over here from England and start this new colony. Now, the main reason they even wanted to come over here, or one of the main reasons, was to use the state of Georgia as a buffer between South Carolina and Florida. See, y'all, when I turn right on the other side of the Savannah River, straight ahead of us, that's the great state of South Carolina. Another reason was to use the hot weather to learn how to grow those. Now, when they landed here, they were greeted by the Indians, the chief of the Yamacraw Indians, Chief Tamachichi was his name. Well, Tamachichi and James Oglethorpe said they become good friends, and that was a good thing, because the Indians taught them how to live on the land. Now, coming up here on the left, y'all, this is the ships of the sea museum. Well, we've always called this the William Scarborough House, because William Scarborough is the man's name the house was built for. But he was also the same man that built the very first steamship to ever go to the Atlantic Ocean, and that was the SS Savannah. And y'all, you can walk all around in that cart in the back of it without paying to get in the museum. It's really beautiful back there. Over here on the right is First African Baptist Church. It's supposed to be the oldest African American church in North America. Now look at your stained glass on the back. Look at your stained glass. Every face that you see in that stained glass is a preacher that fought his way out of slavery. And I'm going to tell you a story about the church in just a minute. But there was one good idea that James Oglethorpe did have, and that was how to lay out a city. He laid it out in squares, 24 in all, and you're going to see the most of them. Now, a lot of people asked us, why did he lay it in squares? Well, the main reason was military reason. They'd fight the enemy off from one square to the other. And if they knew they were coming into town, they'd take all their livestock and they'd put it in one square to guard it from being killed or stolen. And in some of the squares, you'll see a church. So they use the squares as a gathering place at the church. But the main reason, military reason. Now, the first square we're going to be coming into is Franklin Square, named after Benjamin Franklin, the key man, same one. He was our shipping agent in the 1700s. And you know, he was the last one, or one of the last, to sign the Declaration of Independence. And he was the oldest. He was 70 years old at the time. But does anybody know why John Hancock's signature is larger than anybody else's on the Declaration of Independence? Because he didn't want the King of England to get his glasses to see his name. Oh, that's funny. And this is stock too. And this is good stuff for City Markets to the left. 15 restaurants, 8 art galleries, shopping, City Market. And you got your Prohibition Museum. And bye now, have fun. Happy New Year to you. Thank you now. And, yes, that's fine. And there's your map right there if you want. Okay, and this is stop 2, okay?
Okay.
All right. Now you see this purple green turbus sign over here on the right? You can find your stops like that. Over here on the left, you see the cross streets, Montgomery Street and Bryan Street. You can go by that. And see, most of the stops are on a corner, they're close to a corner too, okay? But if you have any problems, just call that number. Now, Franklin Square was one of the first 4 squares to be laid out. Now, I'm going to tell you a story about the church in just a minute. So first I'm going to tell you what's in the center of the square. This is one of our newest and realest monuments we have. This is our Haitian monument. There were 503 Haitians. You might as well say they lost their lives for our freedom. They fought the American Revolutionary War. And if you get the opportunity, y'all, read that story at the base of that monument. It's very interesting. Now, First African Baptist Church, that's supposed to be the oldest African American church in North America. The congregation started in 1755, but they didn't start building church until 1797. Now, the slaves were not allowed to learn how to read and write, but they were allowed to go to church. They just wasn't allowed to take off of work and build their church. So they had to come up here at night after working all day long on the Heritage Plantation, which was 10 miles down the river. They had to walk up here at night, build the church by campfire, back and forth, back and forth. They think it took them about 8 to 10 years to build it. Then they carved out the church pews by candlelight. Now, underneath the floorboards of the church are these things called passageways. And they were 4 foot high and 4 foot wide, and that's what they used for the Underground Railroad. They even think that Harriet Tubman, and I hope I pronounced her last name right, that she made a stop here. They do know that she freed 700 slaves out of the South. And see, her last husband, she got out of Beaufort, South Carolina, which is right on the other side of the Savannah River. And she was a spy for the Union Army. So they're pretty sure she made a stop here, but, you know, they can't be positive because they were so secret about it. And see, they'd only used the Underground Railroad during church services, where nobody knew what was going on. So they couldn't open a door to get them air down there. So they carved out these diamond-shaped holes that went all the way down the floorboards of the church. And that was their air holes and vent holes. But if anybody that was going to hurt them, asked them, what's them holes under your church pews, what they're for? They told them that that was a sign or symbol of Christianity only in African Americans. They were very smart, you know, but there is so much history in there. Now, I don't believe the lady that is like the overseer of that church, we call her Miss Karen. And I don't think she'll open it up today. She might. I just give her a call and see. She might open up after church at 12 o'clock. But I just give her a call and see because I don't really know. And your next closest stop until we stop teaching. Okay? Now this is Telfair Square. Telfair Square was named after Edward Telfair, one of our first governors. Of course, y'all, Savannah was the very first capital of Georgia. But Atlanta, Georgia, that's been our capital for way over 100 years. And over here on the right, this is the Telfair Museum. But this used to be the governor's mansion, the Telfair Mansion. And it holds a lot of art paintings and antique furniture. It's a house museum, but it's an art museum also. This is our new Jefferson Art Center. It's 16,000 square feet. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful art museum. Especially the children's part at the top is fantastic. A lot of hands-on stuff. But I went in there about a year ago, and there's a painting there that said white on white. Now it was white canvas and white paint. I said, I don't get it. You know, and the price of it was like $1,500. I said, man, I can't paint and I can't sing, but I believe I can pull that one off right there. White on white. Now coming up here on the left, y'all, that beautiful white marble building straight ahead of it, that was built to be a post office in 1932. A post office now. But, and later on they turned it into a courthouse. But I want you to look up high. You see that beautiful marble up there? Yes, it's gorgeous. That come out of the hills of the Georgia Mountains. Well, really the whole building is built out of the marble that come out of the Georgia Mountains. It's built out of marble, granite, and limestone. But they changed it to a courthouse, if my memory's right, around 1970. And now that they're redoing it, they renamed it, and it's the Tamachichi Courthouse. Up here to my left, on my left, this is Wright Square. And in the center of Wright Square is the monument for William Washington Gordon. Now that's who we can take from the railroad, but he's not buried under his monument. He's buried somewhere on the Central Georgia Railway. Nobody really knows where. Up here to my front left, the big rock with the plaque on it, that's the monument we have for Tamachichi, the chief of the Yamacraw Indians. And when we was little, Daddy'd bring us down here and he'd say, run around Tamachichi's rock 3 times and ask him what he's doing. We would, you know what he'd say? Nothing. I do the Girl Scouts like that now. And this is the first courthouse. That goes back to 1889. I like that clock up there, yeah. Some people call that the courthouse square. And I have heard it called the hanging square years ago. But when Tamachichi died, him and James Oventhorpe were such good friends, see, he wanted to be buried as an Englishman. And he was, right back there in the courthouse square. Now, when William Washington Gordon died, he didn't only start the railroad, he was also a Superior Court judge. So they had to put his monument in the courthouse square. Now, some say they moved Tamachichi, some say they didn't. Well, the lady Miss Eleanor Gordon she knew Tamachichi needed to be acknowledged. I mean, he was the co-founder of Georgia. So she sent by railway to Stone Mountain, Georgia for that big rock. Well, when the rock arrived, there was a bill with it. It said, pay $1 in full on Judgment Day. She sat down, put her dollar bill in an envelope, wrote a little note, paid in full, $1. Because I'm going to be way too busy Judgment Day. And she was a sporty lady. Now, her family, who she was Juliet Gordon Lowe, the mother of the Girl Scouts. That was her mother. And her family were the very first settlers of Chicago. There's even a street named after them called Kinsey, K-I-N-I-Z-E. And she ended up marrying a Southern gentleman that ended up being high ranks in the Confederate Army. So during the Civil War and the war between the states, you know, she had a hard time because her husband was fighting her father and brothers in the war, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Now over here on the left, that's Big Duke the Fire Bell. Now Big Duke, he weighs 5,000 pounds. He was named after Hamilton Duke, the fire chief of the 1800s. And when there was a fire, one of the squares, he would ring whatever number square the fire was in. Can't y'all imagine somebody ringing 5,000 pounds, 24 times? Wow, you'd be burned out by the time somebody got to you, you know. But the bell was built in Troy, New York. Now this is stop number 3, and this is a good stop for the Juliet Gordon birthplace. This is where the mother of the Girl Scouts was born. Now you could walk all around in that courtyard out there without paying anything. But if you like the story about the Girl Scouts, y'all, that's a fantastic house. Now this street in front of us, this is Bull Street. You can take a right on Bull Street, you go into Wright Square, a few little monuments, restaurants, stuff like that. I mean, little shops, cafes, restaurants, stuff like that. Take a left on Bull Street, you go into Chippewa Square, it's the same thing, you know. But Juliet was a remarkable lady. But her mother was, you know, I was talking about her mother. They said she slid down the banisters of that house till she was 82 years old. Now, she didn't do it every day. She just done it one time. I think to show the family she still had it, you know. Now, coming up here on the right, this is the marker we have for the Jewish. 2 months after James Everthorpe come over here, there were 42 Jewish people come over here. Well, he gave them that whole green grass area for a burial ground. There's 16 buried out there, and the names are behind the marker of interest. Now over here on the right, this is the Independent Presbyterian Church. Now I know all of y'all probably remember that movie Forrest Gump. You remember when the church steeple, the feather floated down at the beginning of the movie, and he was sitting on the bench with the lady waiting on the bus? Alright, my hand's the feather. Floating down, move the one-way sign, move the Chippewa Square sign, move that blackish-looking truck, put your slab of cement there and a bench there, and you got, my name's Forrest Gump. People call me Forrest Gump. That's where it's filmed at right there. What did he say, y'all? Life is like
A box of chocolates.
you never know what you're gonna get. Ain't that
Sounds
true?
almost like a
And you
pirate
can see
up
your
there.
church a lot better right here. Woodrow Wilson, our president, he was buried in that church. His wife was Roosevelt. Now, it was the second wife, but she was from here. And you know, he suffered a stroke while he was in the White House, and she run our country, and we didn't even know it. She was a Georgia girl. So see, lady, we had a woman for president, we just didn't know it. Now, over here on the right, this is the Barrow House. Now, look down at your fence that's closest to the road. You see the faces of your presidents and poets down there? You got Washington, Jefferson, Jackson. Tom Chi-Chi's even down there. See, in the 1800s, if you had a lot of ironwork on your house, I bet you had a lot of money. Now, look over here to your right past this big SUV or whatever it is, at the drain pipes, so the gutters. But what they call them is dolphin downspouts. See, there's one right there. And there's another one you can see on the other side of the steps a lot better. Dolphins fit good luck. They put them on their houses for good luck. Now, when you finish looking at that, look over here to your left and you'll see a statue of our founder, James Everthorpe. And you can also see our Savannah Theater, which is across the square, which is one of the oldest theaters in North America. It goes back to 1818. I hate to say this, but John Wilkes Booth and his brother Joseph actually don't play the Savannah Theater. Over on the right at the Sixpence. Is any of y'all remember that old movie, Something to Talk About, with Julia Roberts and Dennis Quaid? Well, right there, that's where she come out in her pajamas. and Cardi B supper with other women. Now, that is the last movie I really talk about. And the only reason I mentioned that one is because Julia Roberts is from Georgia. She's from Smyrna, up there around Atlanta. And you know, we call ourselves Georgia Peach. And we're the peach state. You as pretty as a Georgia peach and all that good stuff. Well, I already knew that we didn't grow as many peaches as we used to. But you'll never dream what we grow more of. Blueberry. We are the blueberry state now. Yeah? Now over on the right, the white building with the gold column, that was one of the very first showcases by the Ford automobile. See, Henry Ford, he had a plantation here. It's still here. It's just became a community. Now this is stop 4. This is a good stop for the Sorrel Weed House, which is one of the most haunted houses. And around the corner, thank you, darling. You have a wonderful day. Thank you. And that's one of the most haunted houses around the corner is Green Belgium House. Happy New Year to you. Y'all take your down the steps. Yeah. There you go. Hello. Yes, ma'am. Well, you probably got a ticket somewhere, but that's fine. You can show it to me a little bit. Now, me personally, I don't too much believe in all them ghosts. But they say that the ghost chasers or ghost hunters, they call themselves TAPs, T-A-P-S. And when they come into Savannah, they don't always find ghosts. But they claim they found 3 in that house. Yeah, you can hear a recording of what they found, and it kind of sounds like the ghost are saying, get out of here. Get out of here. The only thing that just like I was telling y'all up there at the cemetery about that one, you can look it up on YouTube, that little boy ghost in Columbus Cemetery. That's the only thing that I even, you know, just looked at and said, wow, it could be possible, you know, but I believe in aliens more than I do ghosts. I really do. Yeah. Yeah. Now this is Madison Square, and when I turn right, look over here to your left at the church steeples, how beautiful they are. And in the center of Madison Square, that's the statue of Sergeant Jasper. Sergeant Jasper was an American Revolutionary War hero that got killed in the siege of Savannah in 1779. I better not do that. Let him go by me now. I gotta back up. Might can do it. No, might do it. But anyway, that's the Green Belgium house right there. That's where General Tecumseh Sherman, he used that as his headquarters and marched to the sea. And that very house right there in December of 1864, he sent Abraham Lincoln, which was the president at the time, a telegram. I give to you 150 heavy guns, 25,000 bells of cotton, and the whole city of Savannah as a Christmas gift. But let me tell you something else neat about that house. There's a skylight in that house, and in the summertime now, they raise up that skylight, and in the bottom of it is these gas flutes. And they light them gas flutes and then suck the hot air out the bottom of the house. That's pretty neat, yeah. Yeah, that heat would make the hot air suck out and make it cooler. Now let me tell you, this is kind of a little folk tale, but you see the Episcopal Church over here on the left? Well, when Sherman occupied Savannah, the Southern ladies didn't want him here. So they ring them church bells all night long, aggravating him, keeping him awake all night. Well, finally he called on to them. And He took them bells down. He said, I'm going to medal them down as ammunition. Well, he didn't know one of the Southern ladies was very good friends with Mary Todd Lincoln, the first lady. So she sent her a letter wanting her bells back. Well, he gave them back, but he took the little ding-dongs out. They wasn't going to make no racket. Somebody said he hung them upside down. Well, what I read, he took the little ding-dongs out, you know. He didn't like the Southern ladies. He said the Southern ladies were the meanest women in the world, and if we'd have fought that war, we'd have won it. One time I read that. Now, this is one of our first drug stores, but it's also one of our very first Masonic temples. Now, look over here to your left. You see the cannons? Big guns on both sides of the door? That was the volunteer guard army. But now it's owned by the college. And y'all, they do a little presentation in there that's free of charge. And it's not for 15 minutes long. Now, I've never seen it, but my boss man had, he said it's very, very good. He said whatever this means, he said it's got like a Harry Potter theme. And you can go through their art gallery, you know, stuff next to those pictures and stuff. So, I mean, just walking in that building is what, I mean, that's a beautiful building anyway. And you can get to that, y'all, at stop 6 or 16. And if you ain't sure how to get back over there, just ask me and I'll help you any way I can. Now, this is Monterey Square. In the center of Monterey Square is a monument for Count Pulaski. Now, Count Pulaski was also American Revolutionary War hero. And on top of his monument is a copy of the Statue of Liberty. But look at that fence around his monument. Everywhere that you see a fence post, that's a little gun. That's a little cannon. That's real cannons right there. Over here on the right, some people call this house the Twins House. There was a general that had 2 twin daughters. So he built him a house, mirror image, left and right. Now they say they fought about everything and they still fought about who's going to get one lamb, who's going to get one right. Now this is the Mercer House. That's the house that was made famous for the book and movie, The Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. Johnny Mercer, the songwriter, his grandfather's one that built that house. See this house straight ahead of me with the mob-looking step? Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood was filmed on there. Some of it, yeah. Up here to my front left is the Temple of Mikvah of Israel. This is the third oldest temple in America, and it's the only Gothic. If you was looking out of an airplane, y'all, the temple's built in a cross.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and you can go in and see the temple and the Mercer House, and your closest stop is 6. But I'll remind you, but remember all the houses do have a charge, okay? Now, over here on the right, this is the Armstrong home. The Armstrong home was built in 1970. Fence around it, supposed to be a copy of that of the Buckingham Palace. Now, one family lived in this beautiful house, but Mr. Armstrong, he took his home and he turned it into a college. Now, the college quickly outgrew the house and moved south of town. Some of y'all may have heard of it, Armstrong State College. That's where it started right there. And then this was law offices for about 15 years. And about 3 years ago, one of our fine citizens in Savannah bought this, and he turned it into their family home. And it's got 25 rooms in it, and only 2 people live there. 25 rooms. His name is Mr. Kessler. Mr. Kessler's one of our big hotel owners. He's born and raised Savannah, though, yeah, born and raised. Now this is Forsyth Park, and look at our beautiful fountain. See, they just brought it back. Man, they shoot some water out. Yeah, they sent it off to have it recast. It hadn't had anything done to it like in the early 1900s. The only thing they've done to it is paint it white, turn it green, St. Patrick's Day, paint it back right, get ready for next year. So they was afraid it was going to get despair. So they sent it off the second week in June and recast it.
How you doing, puppy dog?
I hadn't had a chance to get up there and look at it, but it looks like they did a good job on it, you know.
Hey, Eddie.
Now, this is where I like to talk about the live oak tree. That's the big trees you see
That
everywhere.
house with the flame.
They call them live oaks, L-I-V-E, because they stay green year round. They never brown and they never bare. Not even in the dead of winter time. And we do have a winter, y'all. If you stick around tomorrow, I would not find out, you know. But when the green leaf grows onto the tree, it pushes all the brown leaves off. So they never brown and they never bare. And they say that they grow for 300 years and they die for 300 years. Yeah, and I know that's kind of hard to believe, but I'm going to show you one in a minute. You're going to go, wow, she may have some there, you know. But the Navy actually built ships out of them. And why they wanted to build ships out of them is because notice how curvy the limbs are. It was easier for them to make the bow of the boat out of curvy limbs. But they said that the wood is so strong on these trees that when the enemy would shoot the cannonballs at our ships, that most of the cannonballs would bounce off. So it made them believe that all the ships were made out of iron, but they wasn't made out of great live oak. And they say they still keep up on bars to keep up the ship, the USS Constitution, and that's why they call it no iron. Now this is stop 5, straight ahead of me, y'all. That's that little white building there. That's a real nice public restroom, big playground in the back for the children, / coffee shop, restaurant. And if you want to take a picture by the fountain, you want to go to your right, but please be careful if you're leaving me at this stop, because that last step can't be a mover. Let me see, so I got, let's see, I got 2, 4, I know I got 4, 5, yeah, I got 5 for sure. I may even have more than that. Yeah. Hard for me to see. I think I got 2, yeah, this is stop 5. The gray. The gray would be 10. And, but what time do they open?
Well, we got a reservation.
Oh, really? Really? They open it at 1:50? See, I always thought they opened at 5. Have y'all been there yet? Oh, that's the old Graham Bus station. Yeah, that's good. Yes, ma'am. And what you do when you get off the trolley, you'll go straight down, Congress. That'd be straight behind us. You go left. And you get up Martin Luther King and take a left. Not even Cooper's Mountain. Okay. Yeah, you'll be there plenty of time.
Oh, and him, the shut
Yeah,
turn.
kids are messed up. Is there any more seats back there, y'all? Y'all see any more seats? Okay, let me call her. Dispatch is Cindy, you got a yellow 8, it's not 5.
We were gonna get off and on, but you want to stay on the long first.
Man, you're talking about. You might want to get your cameras out for this and point them to the right. Now, the first thing I'm going to show you, I don't think you want a picture of that. You might, but it's the second thing is what I'm talking about. The first thing I'm going to show you is the old Candler Hospital. This is the oldest hospital in the state of Georgia, and it's the second oldest hospital in the United States. And this is actually the hospital I was born in. Yeah, but the hospital actually goes back to 1809. The Union soldiers even stayed in that hospital. But it hadn't been a hospital for many, many years. They moved it south of town, and now the college owns. It's a big hospital outside town. But this is what you might want to take a picture of. This is our Candler live oak tree. This tree is over 250 years old.
That's the one I saw.
Now, all my life, they've been telling me that tree was 250 years old. But I will say this, when James Oglethorpe come over here, he come over here in 1733, he left in 1743. he stayed exactly 10 years. Well, sometime in that 10 years, he wrote a letter to the King of England about that tree. He used it as a landmark. And see, Savannah just had a birthday, and she was 293 years old. So we think it's at least 300 years old. But being the red lights got us, look on them outside limbs. You see them wires run all the way through it like little clotheslines, holding it together. That's how old it is. And we the luckiest people in the world. We, as far as weather goes, we didn't have but one hurricane in 40 years. And that was Hurricane Matthew. And Hurricane Matthew hit us in 2016, and he took out about 5,000 lives. But you know what? He didn't take out not one statue, not a historical marker, anything. He did take out some trees up here in town, but the old candler hung in there. But it could have been a lot worse. Now, over here on the left, this is Wesley Monumental Methodist Church. Now, what I find so interesting about this church is they started building this church in the early 1800s, but it lay unfinished for 15 years because all the carpenters that were working on it died of the yellow fever all at one time. Man, that yellow fever, y'all, it killed 8,000 people just in Savannah in 1 month. And life wiped out the whole population. There's a mass grave in Colonial Cemetery of 700 people that died of the yellow fever. Couldn't never die so fast, couldn't even bury them. Now this is stop 6, and this is a good stop for the Mercer House and the Temple. It's in the square behind me, and that SCAD building over there that's got the presentation is like right over there about 2 blocks. And this is Massey's Museum, which used to be Massey School. That's the oldest public school in the state of Georgia. And when they built this schoolhouse in 1856, they built it with 2 sets of steps on both sides of the front door. See them white staircases going up and down in the windows there? Well, why they built it like that is because the boys would go up one side, the girls would go up the other side, because they didn't want the two to socialize until they turned a certain age. I said, well, good luck on that one, you know. Okay. Dispatch the city of stop 6, you had a yellow 5. Now, over there on the right, now I want you to look down at the bottom of the steps on this house on the corner, and then I want you to look up a little bit. You see that bronze plate right there that says 1855? Can you see it right there at the bottom of the steps? Look up over 1855. Okay, you're going to see another one straight ahead of it that also says 1855. And the one on the corner says 1859. Well, as you can tell, y'all, that's not the address. That's the year the house was built. So all these houses are very old. Now the light green one, right here on the right, 1872. But the rest of these is 1853, except for the one with the red brick and the dark green shutters, 2015. Yeah. And my husband helped build that, that's how I know. And they built that from the ground up. Yeah, it was somebody's courtyard, I think, and they sold it. And that man bought it and he built that from the ground up. So the rest of these houses, most of them are 1853. So they're very old, but the brick is old. Now that brick, they call the brick the old Savannah Great Brick. It was made out of mud, out of the Savannah River by the slaves. The slaves made all the brick and brought it up. And when they gave the slaves their freedom, they took the recipe with them on how to make the brick. So all of a sudden, brick got real expensive. People were tearing down the carriage houses left and right to sell it because they were selling for $3 to $5 a brick. Yeah, but what was really interesting to me about that story is they said that you could buy land cheaper than one brick. That land was cheaper than one brick, yeah. Now this is Monterey Square, and I want you to look over here to your left at Count Pulaski's monument again. Now right there at the foot of his monument is a grave.
That's the one that's off
Now all the
cannons.
history
All those
books
posts are real
said that
cannons.
he was buried at sea. Well, about 45 years ago, we went and reimbursed his monument, and when we flipped it over, we found bones underneath. Now, who's in? So they sent it off for DNA testing for a long time. I'm talking about a long time. Finally, it come back, it was him, and we finally put it to rest after 276 years. And that's his grave right there in front of that monument. But when they were filming the Midnight, the Garden of Good and Evil, there was no monument in that square, but there was no body in the square either. So Clint Eastwood, he was the director of that movie, he said, I got to have something out there. So they took a horse and put it on a horse with a man on top of it and set it out there in the square. So if you ever watched that movie again, or if you watched it before, I mean, if you watched it before, if you watch it again, or if you never watched it, watch it, you'll notice your monument ain't right on it. But Hollywood does change a lot of things. Now, as far as the Midnight Garden of Good and Evil goes, I could really care less about the story, but I will say that movie shows the scenes of Savannah. It just is beautiful. It really does. That's the best movie I've ever seen to show scenes of Savannah. Now, this is our Georgia Historical Society, and this is one of our bread and breakfasts right here. Beautiful. But most of these houses are private homes. This here was a doctor's house,
Video.
and he left it to his only daughter. And there was a bowling alley in the bottom of it. She took the bowling alley out and made an animal hospital out of it. So she lived there a good 15 years or better. And she put it up for sale. But I don't know what it is now. I think it might be some type of jewelry store. But I'm really surprised she sold the house. Over here on the left, that little white building, that's a garden for the blind.
Oh, wow.
That's where the blind can come and identify spells and understand song understanding. Now this is where I really like to talk about the Spanish moss. That's the moss that hangs out the tree. First of all, it's nothing to do with the Spanish family. It's really out of the pineapple family. It lives off of airborne dirt water. It don't grow on the tree. It just hangs there. And some people ask us, does it hurt the tree or does it kill it? Well, the smart people here says no. They said it actually helps it. It's kind of like an air filter or an air purifier for the tree. But it does have little bugs in it called redbugs or chiggers. And a lot of people like to take it home with them, especially around Halloween. They like to decorate with it. And you can put it in the microwave and nuke it, and it'll kill them chiggers. But I always tell my guests, just find something else to decorate with. You don't want to fool that stuff. But when it's on you, they own you. I don't think they're really in it right now because we did have a cold spell, so it probably killed them. And I wouldn't take no chances on that. I wouldn't mess with that stuff. A lady from Maryland told me that nobody told her about them. She took some home with her, and she put it in the trunk. And it took her about 2 or 3 days to get home. And she said when she got home, she had fed. She said she didn't know what she was doing. Yeah, she got a man on her. What she told me. She said, I think I just got to sell the farm. A little more on her stuff. Yeah. Now this is stop. We're coming into stop 7, y'all, the Civil Rights Museum. But the Civil Rights Museum's not open today. But you can use this stop. About 2 blocks straight ahead of it is a really, really good Cuban restaurant. It's a Cuban restaurant. Over here about 2 blocks is the Crystal Beer Parlor, which is a real nice restaurant too. They got good hamburgers over there like that. And they got good fried shrimp. And then you also got over here on your left, you got Burger King, I think, Wendy's, and Popeyes. next stop is stop 8, which is the Savannah Visitor Center and History Museum. Now, this is Martin Luther King Boulevard. Years ago, this was called West Broad. This was West Broad. I mean, on the other side of the historical district was East Broad. This is a booming community. I mean, they had stores in here, they had restaurants, all kind of stuff. And then when I-16 coming here with that bypass right there, it just tore this community up. I mean, Union Station, the train station, come all the way down here where that Embark is now. So people get off here and they had a lot of stuff going on. But then that I-16 tore it up, but it's coming back alive. So they changed West Broad into Martin Luther King. But you know, Martin Luther King actually preached, I have a dream, here in Savannah before he ever even went to Washington, D.C. and preached it. See, he was in Second African Baptist Church. And the preacher in this church told me the story. Now, we do know for a fact that he was preached in there in 1962. But the preacher of that church told me this story. He said that he was in there preaching a sermon, and Martin Luther King was, and there was a choir standing behind him. The lady in the choir standing directly behind Martin Luther King kept on saying, "Tell him about the dream, Brother Martin. Tell him about the dream." And he said, "That's why I preach to be started." Now, I know a lot of citizens claim that a lot of churches, and I guess we are too, because I don't let you tell me the story, you know. Now, over here on the right, this is stop number 1. If you happen to want to get, and we're coming over here to stop number 8. Now, stop number 8 years ago was Union Station. Passenger trains went out of here, freight trains went out of here. And then when Interstate 16 coming here in 1970, it messed us up also. So now it's our Visitor Center and History Museum. Now, our History Museum, I really like the History Museum. I mean, you can take as much time as you want in there. It's completely self-guided. And there's so much in there. There's a copy of Eli Whitney's Cotton Gin. There's the first locomotive, first carriage. I mean, there is all kinds of stuff in here. Now, Forrest Gump's bench is in there too. But I wasn't paid to get in the History Museum just to see that bench. Because they all look alike, you know? It looks just like a real bench, you know? Just picking one out here on the street, take a picture of it. There it is. But I'm going to show you what you can do. All right, you see right straight ahead of me when the bridge starts and that little silver train goes short? All right, right there, that's the back door of the History Museum. And there's restrooms back there too. But you can go in that side door up here, take a right, and take a immediate right, and you can walk all the way down this hall and see a lot of stuff without paying anything. You can come out your back door, you can turn around and come back out your front door. About halfway through this building, they got a gate that's going to do like a Y. You go left, you pay, you stay right, you don't. But from the front of that bus up there, that Kelly bus, to the front of the building is restrooms, gift shops, concession stands, and all that, okay? And this is stop 8. Yeah, it's really neat there. And it's got these beautiful paintings on the ceiling up there. It's real nice. Yeah. Hello, hello. Before y'all make that climb, let me see if I got seats. I don't think so either. Let me call her. I got 2 trolleys right behind me. There's one coming right there. And I'm going to call her anyway. It's over here, and it's not number 8. Yellow bus. Yeah, look at your windows on this building. See how they're the shape of a big Liberty Bell? They look like a big Liberty Bell. Who started the railroad was William Washington Gordon. See, that was Juliet Gordon Lowe, the mother of the Girl Scouts. That was her grandfather. He's the one that state of Georgia now. Also, that little silver train car down there, that was a working railroad car for years. She'd take people from Savannah, Georgia to Atlanta, Georgia once a day. She run for about 30 years. Made her last run in 1971. She landed there and they made a cafe out of her. She was the Whistle Stop Cafe, but now I don't know what happened with the cafe, but it's offices or something like that. Over here on the right in the 1800s, this was old cotton warehouse. It used to store cotton for the railway, but now it's offices and classrooms for Savannah College of Art and Design. We call it SCAD. And if you hadn't already seen that word all over Savannah, trust me, you will. But look over here. You see how this first warehouse is right here? You see how the brick is all different colors and all? Well, this one in the back over here look worse than this. That one look worse than this. And they restore it. Now they have that one, and they redone it. But that one's got a beach in it. It ain't got any water in it, but it's a beach. Yeah, they're very creative now. But this is the heart of their campus right here. Usually on any other day, y'all, you would see at least 200 of them right here. Yeah. This is where they mainly, the main hub. Yeah. They're like a bunch of little ants around here. And you know, they got their crazy hairdos, you know, and I had this lady the other day, she said, Miss Cindy, do y'all have the Mardi Gras? I said, no ma'am, we don't have the Mardi Gras, we have St. Patrick's Day. She said, well, I was just wondering, because I see a lot of young people running around here with costumes on. I know you're talking about the college kids. They keep everything interesting, that's for sure. Now this is stop number 9. This is just free parking for the trolleys, but y'all, all parking is free today, anywhere in the city. But there is some nice little restrooms back there back to your left, and there's a little pizza place in there. It's got pretty good pizza, chicken wings, salad, stuff like that. And this is stop 9, and the next stop is City Market. Okay, looks like sailboats up in the sky. When it's lit up at night, that's what that boat looks like. Well, see, the old bridge was just an old iron bridge. I mean, it was a drawbridge, but it was a very small bridge. So as the ships got bigger, the bridge had to get bigger. So they brought the bridge up 80 foot. That's about 185 feet clearance underneath there. We can take care of 98% of membership of the world. And right now, we are the second largest in the United States in shipping and number 1 of these countries. Yeah. So we're very proud of that. And man, we were restaurants right down there. Okay. Okay, we come to the end. It's right down there. Yeah. But a lady was over that whole project. She done it under budget. Done the airport's supposed to be completed. But when you leave our dear city, if you go at 95 north to South Carolina or North Carolina, that's the way the GPS is going to take you. It's over the bridge, and that is your most fastest single way. And if you're going that way anyway, once you get over the big bridge, you're going to see a little bridge. Okay, right when you get to the bottom of the little bridge, you're going to see Welcome to South Carolina. Then you're going to see a sign that says Savannah Wildlife Reserve. Okay, you take a left into there. It's 4 miles long. The road is as wide as these roads right here. It's a gravel road. The way you go in is the way you're gonna come out. And then it's free of charge. And alligators and ducks, and more alligators and more ducks, and more alligators and more ducks. They got these canals built around the road. That's where usually the alligators stay. But them ducks is what fascinates me. One of them was walking by me and he had 3 toes. on each foot. He didn't have a webbed foot. He had 3 toes. And I said, I mean, you know, I ain't never seen a duck with not webbed feet, you know. And so he went up there in the water and he started swimming. I said, I gotta see this. I went up there and looked at it. He was swimming along with him 3 toes. Yeah. It's interesting. Them ducks are really, really interesting. And I'm talking about, we're not talking about 20, 10 or 20. We're talking about at least 200, if not 300. Yeah. And I've never even seen an alligator cross the road over there. But now they got ponds in there. People be fishing in there and everything. You used to go turn your radio to 1600 AM and it'd tell you what you're looking at. And it used to be on rice plantations and all that. They tell you all about that. Then they started talking about Georgia coastal waterways, and I turned it off because that bored me. But it's neat over there. It don't cost a thing. We drive the grandchildren through there every now and then. And this is Broad Street right here. That's been our main street. Your restaurant right there. Right there. Okay. Yes, ma'am, I understand. And I'm going to come in to stop 10. And this is City Market. And right when that trolley pulls
that's
off,
like Prohibition.
I'm going to pull up right there and then stop 10. And yours is, you go straight down this street right here. You take a left on the next street up there and you'll see it on the right down there. Yeah. Now, as I'm crossing over Congress Street, this street right here, I want you to look to your right. Down on the left, you're going to see a seafood restaurant called Sorry Charlie. That's where you want to get your oysters. And they'll even give you free samples of oysters. I got to go around the block. Y'all look like come on there. I got to go. But at least I can tell you about it, Ellis Square. Because the city of Savannah will let you trolley be there. That's what it is. Alright, this is Ellis Square. Look at the statue of John Wesley up there. I don't know if you said he's leaning up against him. Not John Wesley, Johnny Mercer. See him leaning up against a fire hydrant reading the newspaper. Now, Ellis Square, there was a big farmer's market right here. Well, in 1955, the city of Savannah gave 2 gentlemen a 50-year lease on our beautiful square. They tore our farmer's market down and built a 4-story parking garage. Well, come 15 years ago, we got our square back and we went underground with all the parking. Believe it or not, y'all, right behind us is a parking garage that's 65 foot deep and they say can hold 2,000 cars. Now, that was the biggest hole I've ever seen in my lifetime. I mean, them dump trucks come out there straight up, just like that. And it's a nice parking garage. Don't look at all. It's temperature control, security on every floor, restrooms on every floor, and all that. But I tried to park under there, and it kind of made me nervous and all that cement on top of it. All right. Camping out up here. Yeah, but I'm glad we got the square back, you know. Yeah. But you know, we on a 45-foot bluff, so what you think happened when they got to about 50 feet water? Then they didn't know what they was going to do. Hey, that trolley is stop number 10. Yeah, that cab.
So where was the pirate again?
Yeah.
I thought I heard a snake tire.
They should sit down to here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right there.
My daughter, see, my son-in-law allergic to shrimp. So they were looking for somewhere Saturday to eat. And they ended up at the shrimp factory because that's the only parking they could find down there. And she was kind of leery about it because, you know, he's allergic to seafood. But anyway, she got in there and she said, Mama, I believe that's the best meal I've ever eaten. But she got the crispy fried chicken sandwich. said it was really, really good. She said it was just right. It was just right. And she said, but I think the kids got shrimp and grits. They said the shrimp patty, they got really good shrimp and grits. I don't know what else she told me they got. Yeah, maybe that was it. I know they were about, I think my son got the hamburger because there was about 9 of them.
We got 2 more stops.
Yeah, they went to Spanky. They couldn't get in there because they didn't have room for them. So they just went next door.
No, that outlet.
Now, over here on the left, now that's
further
Bay
down.
Street. This is Bay Street. And why it's called Bay Street because it's closest to the river. And if you look over here to your left, you're going to see down to the Savannah River. And it's 381 miles long. It starts up in North Georgia and it dumps out into the Atlantic Ocean, which is only 12 miles away. And over here on the left, that's City Hall. Now, right behind City Hall, there's a little house back there that says River Street. That's an elevator. That's an elevator that'll take you up and down to the river to keep you from having to walk the steps. Now, it stays out of order a lot. I don't know why they can't fix that thing. But you can use the elevator in the Hyatt Hotel and the Bohemian Hotel, and you can also use the restroom in them hotels too, okay? We try to show our southern hospitality every now and then. Now this is Johnson Square. Johnson Square was the first and largest square. It was named after Robert Johnson, the royal governor of South Carolina. Believe it or not, the Declaration of Independence was read in Johnson Square, August the 10th, 1776. Now look over here to your left, you're going to see a fountain now. But that used to be an outdoor oven. See, bricks were short in the 1800s, so everybody had to come to Johnson Square to do their daily baking. Their hams, turkeys, breads, or whatever. They called them common ovens. And see, they didn't want to heat up their houses either. But in the center of the square is a monument for General Nathaniel Greene. He was in second in command up underneath George Washington. Now, for his services, George Washington gave him Mulberry Grove. Now, Mulberry Grove was a plantation that was about 10 miles down the river. Well, see, General Greene, he was from Rhode Island, so he wasn't used to the hot weather. So one day he went out riding his horse without his hat, and he had a heat stroke, and he died at the young age of 44. Well, really, the heat stroke ain't what killed him. You know what actually killed him? They bled him. You know, I don't know if they put the leeches on him or what they did, but they bled him. That's what they said. That's actually what killed him. But the heat stroke is what started it all. Anyway, so he left a wife and 5 children behind. Now, Miss Katie Green, she knew she had to get an education for her children. So she came up here to the town of Savannah in search of a teacher. And she found a bright young man by the name of Eli Whitney. Cotton gin man. And you know why they called it a gin? Because he was a small engine. But he loved her, he begged and begged for her hand in marriage. But see, Miss Katie Green wouldn't marry him because back then, if you married, your husband got everything you owned. And her plantation wasn't but about 1,300 acres. She owned that whole river down there. Now let me tell you, we got a book about her. It's called Katy, C-A-T-Y. And she may not have been as mean as Beth on Yellowstone, but she was funny. She may be like a Scarlett O'Hara. But she run that plantation right by herself. Yes, she did. Yeah, she was something else. She did end up marrying way later on. She married his friend. She didn't marry him. But, yep, there's a minute right there. Now, over here on the left, that's the statue of John Wesley. Now, John Wesley, he was the father of the Methodists. And I don't know if you noticed it, but he's got his arms stretched out like this. And some people say he's got a book in his hand. Some people say that book's the Bible. But then some people say it could be a hymn book. Because him and his brother Charles Wesley, they wrote a lot of church hymns while they're here. I know they wrote our names and things here. One time this young lady asked me, she said, Cindy, how many did they write? I said, I ain't got a clue, I'm just going to guess. I said, I would say about 45. She Googled it. When she got off, she said they wrote 8,000.
Oh.
8,000 church songs. And that's the Pink House right there, which is a very good restaurant. Yeah, 8,000. I didn't go behind her, y'all, so don't hold me to it. That's what she said. Thank you, baby. Y'all go enjoy yourself. Have a good time. Now, this is stop number 11, y'all. And this is a good stop for these two hotels right here. I'm just pulling up. The Pink House up there, which is a very nice restaurant. And you can get the Leopold's ice cream from here. But 15 is about the same distance. It's stop number 15. I can actually show you where it's at, okay? Now we're coming down to the river, and all these buildings in front of us, they were cotton warehouses. Now some of them may have been tobacco warehouses, but I believe most of them were cotton warehouses. And how many of y'all have ever heard them words, fair to Midland? No?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to put it in a sentence where people that don't know what it means, they'll know. See, when we were growing up, we'd ask Granddaddy, you know, how you doing today, Granddaddy? He'd say, fair to Midland. That means not good, not bad, right? I never knew until about a year ago that that was a grade of cotton. I thought it was a southern saying like, I'm bad about saying fix. That means I'm going to do something. Like, I'll say I'm fixing to turn right. Something like that. But I thought, but there was good cotton, there was fair to Midland cotton, and there's bad cotton. I never knew that. And you'll notice every southern won't tell you that's a green light or traffic light. They're going to tell you that's a red light. Whether it's red, yellow, green, or whatever. You know, I just thought that fair to Midland was just the same thing. Now, as we're going down to the river, you're going to see these walkways and bridges that go over the top of our heads and on both sides of it. Well, back in the day, they kind of sort of was walkways and bridges.
Oh.
But what they called them
I
was
hope it's that.
factor's walks. A factor was like a buyer, like a broker. So when the city exchange bell would ring at the beginning of business day, all of them come out of offices and warehouses, and they'd walk back and forth across them walkways, bidding on what was underneath them. Mostly wagons of cotton. And then when the bell rang at the end of business day, they shut down shop and go home. The way they explained it to us, all that down on the river was like a nowadays Wall Street. I wonder if all this traffic's coming from the beach. That's the beach straight ahead of the shop. Want to go down to Tabby, that's where you go. Yeah, we got a nice beach. But I like the North Beach. I like up there by the lighthouse. But there ain't no Walmart down there on the beach, so better get everything you need. There's stores down there. Walmart. And you will notice that the river's built in layers like this. And why it's built in layers is because they had no way to unload the wagons. So they built the warehouses in layers, but they can slide it off of whatever warehouse is level with. Now this is what I'm going to show you about how they used to buy and sell the cotton. See right here? They come out and walk back and forth, and they bid on what was underneath. You know, so the way they explained to us, all this is like a nowadays Wall Street. You know.
So they'd walk over them and say
And
if
the
you wanted to
Boar's
buy it, you
Head,
did.
that was the first restaurant they opened up down here.
Wow.
Now, when I turn right coming into stop 12, the first stop on the river, I want y'all to look down to your left down the river. Now, that's Georgia Ports down there. But right here's our big candy kitchen right here, too, by the side of it. And that's got the pralines or pralines, and they bake them in front of you and give you free samples of them. They're really good.
That was fantastic.
Now, I
folks.
can't open my door
Highly recommend
until
it,
I
Troy.
get right up there where he's at, so I gotta wait a few minutes. But let me show you this while I'm waiting. You see up there on the left where that pen stands? Where that red brick is? And the gray circle? That's what they call Echo Circle. You can stand in the center of Echo Circle, just where that young girl's standing right there with that black shirt on, and you can say your name or hello, and nobody can hear but you. There you go, hello, hello, hello. It's called Echo Circle. And this is stop 12, and the best way to identify